Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about these habits will make you look weak and unattractive. So this is more of a dating advice video, and I'm going to go into some of the things that will make you look unattractive. So if you can kind of take away some of these things that you may be doing, you're going to have better chances when you're dating. You're going to have better chances of getting a second date, or even having a better chance of making the person that maybe you're currently dating into your long-term girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you're looking for. Okay, so one of the habits that will make you look unattractive is if you are doing unnecessary chit chat online and you're messaging them a lot. And the reason why this is unattractive is because it makes you look like you have no time, you have all the time in the world on your hands to just chat to them. It makes you look like you have no life, right? If you're always available to chit chat to them 24/7, okay? So you don't want to be, another reason why this is unattractive as well is because if you're always chatting online, or you're always messaging each other, you're always in each other's DMs, you're always having these really long conversations or phone calls, when you do actually meet up with them, so let's say you've got a date on Saturday, but all week you've been telling each other what you've been up to, what you've been doing all day, when you actually meet out on a date, you've got nothing to say to each other because you've already spoken about your week and the things that you like and dislike, because you've been getting to know each other online, right? So the best thing to do is to just use Messenger, phone calls, any kind of like messaging app as a tool. Use it as a tool to facilitate a meetup where you can actually speak to each other in person. And if you put it in a way that's nice and friendly, you're not going to seem like you're standoffish, or you're not going to seem mean or cold or anything like that. Because if you say something like, hey, you know what, I'd rather we get to know each other in person, because sometimes, I feel like there can be a lot of miscommunication when it comes to messaging, and I just would really love it if I could just give you my whole attention on a date, because at the moment I'm kind of busy, I've got other things that I need to be doing, and it's difficult for me to be chatting with you online. So is it alright if when we meet up, can we just chat then and get to know each other then? That would make me feel so much more comfortable. Like if you say it in that way, and you say it in a friendly way, that the other person's not going to get mad, right? Because some people say to me, oh yeah, but especially in terms of women, they're like, oh yeah, but women, they love using their phones these days, they just want to chat online and things like that, they like that, right? But the truth is that if you tell a woman or anyone that hey, look, can we just get to know each other in person, I prefer that, and if they get angry or mad about that, then you don't want to be hanging out with them anyway, because someone who's got a level head won't mind if you say to them, hey look, I don't really like chatting online that much. Is it alright if I can give you my full attention when we meet up and have a conversation about our week then? Because I'd feel more comfortable with that. I don't really like how messaging and things like that can confuse. There can be a lot of miscommunication in that sort of thing, right? Someone who's got a level head won't mind if you say something like that. They'll be like, yeah, sure, that sounds great. They won't care, right? If they care that you're not always available to chit chat with them online, then they don't have a level head, and that's someone you don't want to date anyway, right? And it's true as well. It's not a lie. Like sometimes things can get crossed. Sometimes there can be miscommunication when you're chatting online. Like for example, let's say you're a bit stoic and you really like punctuation or something like that, and you don't use that many emojis, and you use like full stops when you have sentences that you write in Messenger, right? Someone else may think, oh, they're being grumpy, they're being moody, but when you just really don't like to use emojis, and you like to use punctuation right when you're messaging someone. So they may see that as standoffish, but you're not. You just prefer that way of communicating, right? So there can be time. That's just an example. There are many other ways that you can miscommunicate. So for example, you could say an innuendo over Messenger, and they might take that as you being too sexual and then feel like, oh my God, this person only wants, sex or whatever. You see? So it's better to actually meet up in person, so you can go off of each other's body language, right? Because sometimes it comes down to the tone of voice. If you say something in a way, in a certain tone of voice, it comes across as funny, right? And then but if you said that the exact same thing to someone online and they can't hear your tone of voice, they may take it as something serious and be like, oh, why did they just say that to me? That's really weird. And they can't tell that it was something sarcastic or something that was supposed to be funny, but they took it as something that was real. There's so much miscommunication that can happen. So do yourself a favor, and whenever you are meeting up with someone, you've met someone online, or perhaps it's someone on a dating app, or it's maybe you've got someone's number or someone's contact info from work or from school, whoever you are. You might be a student watching this, you might be someone that's already in the rat race, who's in a kind of business. So when you meet up when you start talking to someone, keep it short, right? Maybe send a couple of messages back and forth, maybe like about 6 maximum, and then cut the conversation short and say, hey, I'm really busy, but when are you free to hang out? When are you free to get together? And then when they tell you when they're free, be like, great, I'll see you on Tuesday, I'll see you on Saturday, I'll see you on Sunday, or whatever day that you guys have arranged to meet up, right? And you've picked a definite place as well. You've got to be really clear on that, right? And that kind of leads me into my next point, which is undecisiveness. That's something else that's going to make you seem unattractive. And the reason why undecisiveness is unattractive is that it kind of makes the other person feel like they have to do everything. So when you are figuring out when to meet up with them on a date, be concrete with the place. Like if you know a good place to go eat and that's the place that you would like to go, suggest that. Say, hey, how about we meet up at this place, at this restaurant, at this time on Saturday, right? Usually most of the time, that person's going to be like, yeah, that sounds great, let's do that. And they'll be thanking you for that in their head. They might not actually thank you, but they'll be just so thankful that you've actually picked and you've decided on something, right? Because, you get a lot, even in relationships, sometimes you get a lot of back and forth, like, oh, honey, what movie do you want to see tonight? And then the wife is like, oh, I don't know, why didn't you pick? And it's like, well, yeah, but what do you want? And what do you want? What do you want? And that kind of just goes on forever. And it's like, oh my God, just pick something, right? Because a lot of the time when people are doing that, they're worried that the other person's not going to like what they've picked, basically, and that it's going to make them not like them, or it's going to cause an argument, or it's going to make them unattracted to them, or something like that. Just pick. Like, if they don't want to do what you've suggested, they'll say, and then you can just pick something else, right? Because you never know, basically, when you're picking out places to go on a date with someone, you don't know their story. They may have actually gone to that place and didn't actually enjoy it. Or perhaps they know someone who works there and they don't really want to go there. So it's only going to be those times when they will say something. But most of the time, they're going to just be happy to go along with it. Especially if you're a man watching this and you're dating a woman. Like, if you can be really decisive and pick places, she's going to love you for it. Because most of the time, women do tend to be a little bit more undecisive. But if you're a man watching this, then being decisive is going to make you super attractive to the women that you're dating, because you're not trying to people please them by trying to figure out and think, oh, why didn't you pick where we're going to go eat? Because I'm just so worried that you're not going to like me if I pick somewhere you don't like. It's just pick something, right? Always be decisive, right? And say, hey, why don't we go to here and I'll meet you at this time, right? Doing that, saying that is so good and so attractive. So be decisive. Don't be undecisive, because you will look unattractive and weak, okay? So another one, and this is a big one, this is a huge one, this is the one thing, right, the main thing that will make someone be turned off by you, right, when you're dating them. And that is trying to force a relationship, or treating your date like a boyfriend or a girlfriend when you're not at that level, okay? So this means when you show up to a date with a bunch of flowers, or you give them a gift like really soon, because my wife was telling me about this situation, and I think I've talked about this a couple of times, but when my wife was single and dating before she met me, she went on one date with a girl, and after the date, that girl sent her 2 bunches of flowers. Not 1, 2. And it was just after the first date. And my wife was also telling me that she just kept on messaging her all the time. And she was even saying like really needy things like, oh, have you gone off of me? And things like that. It's like, don't do that, right? Look, the best thing to do when you are dating someone is to throw gifts out the window. Don't give them anything at all, right? Don't buy them something like that. Obviously, you might, go out and you might pay for their meal or their cinema ticket or whatever. That might, you might do that sometimes. Or you might go Dutch and you both pay. That's fine, right? Because you're on a date, right? When you go on a date, usually you spend at least something, right? Depending on the date, I suppose. But don't give them gifts. Leave gifts to when they're actually exclusive with you, right? And you are, so don't give them flowers or anything like that until you're actually in a relationship and you're exclusive. Don't send them, don't try to buy their love, because it's a bribe. That's what they're going to feel. They're going to feel uncomfortable if you keep on giving them stuff, because they're like, oh God, now I feel obliged to give them something back, or I feel obliged to have sex with them now because they're giving me all this stuff. Don't do it, right? Because you don't want to make them feel uncomfortable, because the more uncomfortable they feel, the more they're not going to want to hang out with you, because you're making them uncomfortable because you keep on giving them stuff, right? This is why it's ridiculous to me that so many people think women are materialistic, right? Some women are, don't get me wrong, some women are materialistic, but the majority of women aren't, right? The majority of women are going to get freaked out if you keep on giving them gifts straight away, right? Because it's just too much too soon, basically. That's what it comes down to, right? And again, you don't want to be, as well, treating them like they're your girlfriend or they're your boyfriend too soon. So that means being too emotional. That means like saying I love you too soon, like within the first couple of dates, saying stuff like that. Another example is when you're just messaging them too much as well, like, and you're asking them how their day is and stuff. Because I had this once. I was dating a woman and she would just tell me like really unnecessary, boring stuff about her life. Right? She'll tell me things like, this was just after like the first date. She'll be like, just got off of work, just send me that message. And I'll be like, okay, what do you want me to do about that? Like, like it's just stuff like that, stuff that is completely unnecessary that they don't need to know, right? And when you're just messaging them too much, being too familiar too soon, right? It's not a good way to go. It's going to make you look unattractive. Right? So how do you kind of turn this around then? What's the best thing you can do? So the best thing that you can do is, first of all, like I said earlier, which is only using the phone to set up dates for each other, right? And meeting up, facilitating meeting up, right? So between that time, you don't message as much. Like between dates, you don't message that much. You're coming across as, obviously if they message you, then you're happy to hear from them and you're like, hey, it's great to hear from you. I'm doing really good. How are you? Can't wait to see you on Saturday when you've arranged that date, or whatever it may be, whatever day you've arranged, right? Doing stuff like that and keeping messages and texting and stuff and calls a minimum during that time. Just pretend that you've only got really like 10 minutes a day to really chit chat with them online or something like that. Maybe even less. Maybe you've only got 5 minutes to spare to message them and say, hey, how are you, right? But even then, don't do that all the time, okay? Keep it to a minimum. If you've got a date set up, there's no need for you to be like, hey, how are you, and message them, okay? If they message you, then that's fine. You can reciprocate and be happy that you heard from them. But just pretend that you're so busy and that, you've set this time aside for them on the date. And that's their time, right? So if they message you, you'd be like, hey, it's great to hear from you. Can't wait to see you on Saturday. How are you doing? And they're like, yeah, I'm doing really well. What have you been up to? You're like, yeah, I'm just really busy, stuff like that. But, but I gotta go. I'll talk to you when I see you on Saturday or whenever you've got that date arranged, right? Acting like that, acting like you're super busy and you've only got a little bit of time to just chat to them. And then you cut the conversation short and you say, I can't wait to see you, because you don't want to be cold to them. You want to make sure that you are happy that they've messaged you. So you don't want to be like cold to them. You don't want to ghost them. You don't want to be like just sending them a one-worded answer or anything like that. You got to be happy that you've heard from them. That's going to make you seem much more attractive, okay? So another thing, just quickly, 2 more things, just quickly, that will make you, the habits that will make you look weak and unattractive, is if you have unstable emotions, right? So this means, if you get too angry too quickly, or you start crying too soon, or too quickly, or things like that, you got to have a more stable emotions. So don't treat them like your therapist, basically. Don't treat them like, they're like your counselor and you're going to go to them and talk to them about all of your problems. They're not your counselor or your therapist or anything like that. Save your sob stories for your counselor or your friends, okay? Don't make the person that you're dating your therapist, ever, okay? So have more stable emotions when you're around them. It's just going to make you seem more attractive, okay? Don't complain about your life either. Be positive, okay? And the last one is if you have no ambition or no life goals, right? That's going to really turn someone off you as well, because if you're just, let's say you've got a job and you're not really interested in being promoted, you're quite happy in the role, you're quite happy on your salary, you don't really have anything else in your life either that you're trying to work towards. So that means, let's say you don't have a fitness regime, you don't have fitness goals, you don't have any kind of like other business goals, you don't have other things that you're trying to learn, trying to get really good at. Let's just say that you're really complacent and you're just really happy with where you are, which is fine to a degree. But if you don't have anything that you're trying to strive for, and you have ambition, and you don't have ambition, it's going to make you seem less attractive. You've got to have something that you're trying to work towards. You've got to have something that you're trying to do. It doesn't have to be like a money goal, it doesn't have to be a business goal, but it has to be something. Right? You're going to have something that you're trying to work towards, even if it's something like, oh yeah, I'm learning a new language, or I'm learning how to play the guitar, or I'm learning how to crochet, and I'm learning how to do arts and crafts, and I'm selling them on Etsy or something. Just having something like that, just having like a little thing that you're doing, that you have a little goal, a little aspiration that you're trying to do, that's going to make you seem more attractive, okay? As opposed to someone who has no ambition, that is just, kind of like plodding along in life, okay? So, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.